Gonna be kind of a fun video today. I'm actually gonna be kind of going through all the gear that I wore for Oregon Cascades 100. So I'm gonna sort of break it down into different categories. So I'm gonna start with apparel, gear, and then nutrition / hydration, and then miscellaneous things. So going from head to toe, on my head, I wore my Rad Rabbit hat. What's kind of nice about this one, it's vented. So I was able to keep my head nice and cool, and the brim, it does sort of fold upwards, so I can flip it up if I need to. Be able to see a little more. And then around my neck, I wore a bandana. Honestly, it's just like a cotton bandana that you could find like online or at a shop. In the morning, I did end up wearing the Miss Miller sleeves. They're kind of nice because they have little thumb holes and they have the silicone grip on it, just so it doesn't move around as much. And I ended up taking these off like pretty early on in the race because I was getting pretty warm.
Hey, editing Ariel here. So I was editing the part where I talked about the tops that I wore, and I completely forgot that I wore the long sleeve during the night. So I wore the singlet, and then during the night I wore this. It's the easy long sleeve tee from Rapid, and then for the morning I switched into my team t-shirt. Anyway, back to the video.
On the bottom, I wore two different pairs of shorts. I wore the Rabbit leggies. I wore the 4-inch for Saturday, and I wore the 7-inch going into the night section, and I just like kept my 7-inch ones on into the next day. And then for the cap sleeves, so this is what they look like. Probably a little bit too tight. What's nice about these is that they're reflective. Probably should have gotten a lower compression. I think these were like medium-high compression, but cap sleeves, very good for races, just so you can keep the blood flowing through your legs and it's not just kind of sitting down in your lower legs. So for socks, I ended up wearing Injinjis. So I didn't wear the liner. They're still like kind of dirty. I hosed them down after we got back from Oregon. And then on top, I wore this pair and then another pair. I did end up changing the outer socks, I think around like mile 49, and then after that I just kept the same pair until I took my shoes off and my socks off at the end of the race. Heading into the dusk / night section, I did end up wearing this long sleeve. It is the High Country long sleeve from Rabbit, and honestly this is actually kind of warm. I wore the singlet and then I wore this, and then that was good until I hit the actual night section. But for the night section, I did end up wearing the podium jacket from Rabbit. It's from my Rad Rabbit kit from last year. I did end up bringing a shell with me, and I had it in my bag, and I ended up throwing it on underneath my jacket after I threw up on the side of the road and my core temperature dropped. This is actually from John G. This is the Rain Runner jacket. What's kind of nice is that it's vented like this, so it's able to keep me warm but also kind of vent out all of the excess heat. If anyone's wondering what sports bra I wore the same sports bra like the entire race because I was afraid to change it, but it's actually an Old Navy sports bra. It's the Active Dry Medium Support. It's the one that I know does not give me chafing issues. All right, so going into the gear. So for my vests, I actually have two different vests. So the first is the Salomon Advanced Skin 5. I think it's the older model because it doesn't have like the zipper on the back, but this is nice. It kept everything close, and it's a little bit smaller than the one that I wore at night. And the one that I switched to at night is the Salomon Advanced Skin 12. I was able to hold all of my stuff back here because I had a lot of stuff. And then I actually did end up switching back to the 5 the next morning just to help decrease some of the weight. So to carry my fluids, I did end up using a bladder in the back for water. The reason I went with the bladder was because it wasn't like terribly hot, but I knew I wanted to have a bigger supply of water because obviously it's 100 miles, you're gonna need a lot of water. For my liquid calories, I did end up using the Hydro Flasks. These are 20 ounces, they're bigger. And so the nutrition that I use, the instructions are for mixing 2 scoops with 20 ounces of fluid. And if I had a 16 ounce, I didn't want to make my crew deal with the math, so I just got a 20 ounce and just 2 scoops right in here. What's nice about these flasks is they have a little flip top, so you don't have to like unscrew it at the aid station. They can just pour water in. So for my poles, I only have 1 pair of poles. I don't even think they make this particular model anymore, which is a shame because this is really nice. This is the Lucky Micro Trail Racing pole. I DM'd Dylan Bowman like, hey, what poles did you use when you did the Wonderland Trail FKT? And he said it was Lucky. So the nice thing about the Lucky poles that kind of sets them apart from other poles, not that I have that much experience with different types of poles, you can attach your glove in here And then when you're out on the trail, you're not like death gripping the pole, and you can just sort of like let gravity take the pole where you want it to go. Collapse down pretty easily. I'm 5'5". I have the 110 centimeter poles and they work out great for me. I use these a lot, especially from like mile 82 to the finish, because it just helped give me more momentum to keep moving forward. I would try taking a few steps without my poles, and my body was like, nope, you're not doing this. I did end up dropping down to one pole towards the end because I kept hitting my poles against my shoes and my feet were already irritated. Some people don't use poles, some do, it's up to your discretion, but I'm glad I had these. I really don't think I would have finished the race if I did not have these. For my headlamp, I had two. The main headlamp that I wore, it's the Black Diamond Sprinter 500 lamp, and what's nice about it is that it has like a little small light on the front. It has the little strap that runs across the top of your head, and it has the battery in the back, so the weight's like more evenly distributed. It's not gonna like sag down. I did have a backup, and I actually have it right here. This is the Black Diamond Sprinter headlamp. It does use battery, which is actually kind of nice because I was able to have new batteries in here, and I had backup batteries in the bag just in case it ran out. I ended up going through my first headlamp until it died, and then I switched to this one, and I basically made it through into the morning with just a little bit of juice left in this one. My sunglasses, they're just Gooder sunglasses. They're white, they're silicone, which is super nice. It doesn't really like slide down your face. So for the waist lamp, which I kind of mentioned in my last video, this is what it looks like. So this is for the flip belt. It's just like insanely bright. I'm gonna turn it this way so you can see how bright it is. But the cool thing about this one is it slides into the pocket. Scrunch this up, kind of feed it through. You kind of have to finesse it in there. Ta-da! There you go. And that's how it goes in there. I just went with this because I already had a flip belt and I didn't want to buy like a separate waist lamp.
I just realized I forgot to film this, so I'm filming it now. So one thing that I forgot to mention was gloves. So during the night, I did end up wearing these. These are the Easy gloves from Rabbit, and they're kind of okay. They don't have a liner in them, which is kind of annoying. So they don't do like the best job of keeping your hands warm. So I did end up taking these off during the night because the straps from my Lucky pole that actually kept my hand kind of warm. So I felt like that was sufficient enough. So I ended up taking these off.
So nutrition and hydration, like this is basically the only thing that I use. It's the Goo Rocktate Energy Mix, and I had the lemon berry for the gels. This is like the main one that I use. It's the Spring Energy and Awesome Sauce. Caveat with Spring Energy, it's kind of expensive, but for me, I think it's worth the money because it's like 180 calories. It's like 45 grams of carbs. So like 2 of these an hour, like you're set. I did end up packing the Canterbury ones. I did take one sometime during the night and it did not really sit well. It caused some issues. So I told my crew, please take away my Canterbury. I do not ever want to see it for the rest of the race. A couple of other miscellaneous items. For anti-chafing, I use Body Glide up here, and then Squirrel's Nut Butter around my bits, and then Foot Glide for my feet. And for my feet, I did end up putting it all over my feet, in between every single toe, just literally everywhere, and I did not have any blisters, thankfully. Last thing, the shoes. So I wore 2 pairs of shoes. The main one that I wore are the North Face Vective Endurance shoes. I've worn them on training runs and for YSL 100K, and it did great. The only thing is that towards the end, felt like I lost a lot of the squish. I did end up switching to the Hoka Speed Goat 4s towards the very end, which was a mistake because my feet were already so swollen, and it was like trying to shove a really big sausage into a tiny little casing. So that was not fun at all. That's pretty much it for the video. So hopefully this gives you a good rundown of gear. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And anyway, I love you all. See you all in the next one. Bye.